Can you paint us a picture? What's the vibe like in Denver after getting skunked 70-20 by the Fish?
Well, as you can imagine, the sun did not rise here in Colorado today. This fan base is tired. They are miserable. They are pissed off. A part of it was the last 7 years before Sean Payton showed up. They were sold a bag of goods. Oh, we're a quarterback away, and we don't need to push the rebuild button. And then, the last 2 years, we're a coach away. We're a coach away, and they have seen that that's not the case. You really got to tear this whole thing down and rebuild it from the bottom up in order to find success in the National Football League.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. When do they stop telling the fan base that this is going to be something competitive and something real? Because it's clearly not, and Russ is just not Russ, and people have to deal with that. Like, when is the fallout of realistic things start happening?
So I got to disagree and give you a little pushback there. I think Russ is fine. I think there's a lot of issues going on right now with the Denver Broncos. And Russ, if there's 10 issues, Russ is the 9th issue. When you pay Mike McGlinchey to be the highest paid right tackle in the National Football League, he goes out there, gets multiple penalties, but also he can't be a consistent blocker on Russ's front side. That's a problem. Nobody's carrying their weight for this football team right now. And when you're good players think that they could have a my bad moment, when you're a struggling team that's trying to change the culture and trying to find your identity, that doesn't work. You look at Cortland Sutton, multiple fumbles yesterday, multiple drops in the end zone, but he wants to be able to say, my bad, coach, my bad, fellas. And this football team is just struggling on all three phases right now where the good players have to be able to show up. So for me, I think that this fan base, it's not even about what the Broncos say to this fan base no more. They know that they're cooked. I've talked to so many different fans, and they're ready for the Avalanche. They're ready for the Nuggets. They've given up all hope already, and it's only been 3 games when it comes to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and I look at Peyton and how bold and brash he was throughout the preseason and camp, and like that interview he did, I think it was with USA Today, he called Nathaniel Hackett like the worst coaching job we've ever seen. And I'm sorry, Hackett was a mess. There's no disputing that. He didn't lose 70-20. Like Hackett looked like Bill Belichick in his prime compared to Sean Payton yesterday. How does Payton possibly explain himself considering all of the bold statements he made 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, Sean Payton has no equity, in my opinion, in the state of Colorado right now. Because not only did he say that in that article, he also starts that article saying that he'd be really pissed off if this team is not a playoff team.
Right.
So show us. I mean, look what the Commanders did last week. They hung 35 on the Broncos. Look what they did this past weekend. They didn't even get to double digits. So I think everybody's realizing that, man, you know what? You get a lot of lip service with a lot of these coaches. And right now, the Broncos roster is just nowhere near talented enough. But also, you have coaches trying to implement a scheme where they don't have the players to go out there and execute that scheme. So a lot of things happened yesterday for the Broncos. But I think a lot of people here in Colorado, they're just looking at it and they're laughing at Sean Payton. They're laughing at the coaching staff. They're laughing at Vance Joseph. They're laughing at all these things because this fan base is just ticked off, and they're looking for something to believe in. But they found a coach that has just came out arrogant from day one and has just done his own thing. But yet you look out there on the football field, and he's been out-coached the last 3 weeks. I know it's hard to say you were out-coached when you look at all the things that went wrong for the Broncos yesterday. But at the same time, you look at the plays that Sean Payton's calling, the personnel. Cortland Sutton should not be playing for the Denver Broncos right now. Cortland Sutton should be the number 4 wide receiver. I know that he's getting paid like the number 1, but you look at what Brandon Johnson's doing. You look at Marlon Mims. Marlon Mims is your best wide receiver on that football team right now, and he's a rookie. But yet he's played 16 or snaps week 1, 15 week 2. He's played in the teams yesterday. At some point, you got to reshuffle and reset at the wide receiver room and in order to get better. And then you look at tight end as well. You know, they traded away Albert O because Albert O was the same player as Greg Dulcich. Well, when has that ever hurt anybody to have 2 of the same players? And right now you see Greg Dulcich is hurt, and they're getting virtually nothing, no production from the tight end room. So Payton has just sat out there over and over and over again, put himself out there on a limb, trying to say that, look at me, and I'll get this done. But the fan base knows that it's just lip service at this point because their eyes are not lying to them on Sundays.